Welcome to Test, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. So I do have the game for you guys. Wesley So versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, taking out round 2 of the Sinquefield Cup. You guys know that we in it to win it. But yeah, man. This is man. These two players, like, they've been playing like a lot. Maxime definitely kind of has the better of Wesley So. So we gonna see if Wesley So can turn the tables, homie. So all my people coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan. Let me see. Masaya Akoma Kita Kamuli. It's so nice to see you guys again, for sure. Magandang umaga. It's still morning time. Magandang apon if you see this in the afternoon. All of my people coming from France, I will say bonjour. Comment ça va? Comment allez-vous? Let me see. Bon petit déjeuner if you're going to be eating breakfast. Merci beaucoup. Mon ami, mes amis, anyways, man, if you guys are ready to go, son, let's take a look see what we got for this game, homie. So we got the move E4. Best by test. White wins. If you hear Bobby Fischer tell it. We do see the move C5. And this is what everybody probably knows as a Sicilian defense. Basically, I tell you guys all the time that, white and black as well, they want to get E4, D4 in and just have the most beautiful, perfect center. But black says, no, you don't. Basically, this is an idea for black to basically, if white does want to go straight up in the center, they are greatly discouraging it because they are going to be trading their wing pawn for this central pawn and kind of give black, white an imbalance in the center. It's just it's a direct way to try to, prevent that. Also, another direct way is to just play the move E5 and go classical. So we do see the move knight to F3, and this is by far going to be the most common way you see white play. We do see the move D6. Something like in a dream case scenario white would love to do would be to play the bishop here and then go knight to E5 and literally just checkmate you on F7. So D6 just makes sure that the knight cannot land on the E5 square because it can be kind of dangerous. So we do see the move E4, all typical standard stuff. Also, one other thing I'll mention about the Sicilian defense is the fact that basically black is saying, I don't want to draw. They're like, man, I want to fight you. I want it to be imbalanced. So usually these games are pretty decisive when it comes to Sicilians, much more so than a lot of other openings. We do see pawn taking D4, knight taking D4. We got knight to F6. This is a very important move. It might just kind of seem like it just kind of goes with the flow of the opening, but there's a very specific idea behind it. Something that a lot of times you do want to play when you are playing a Sicilian is what is known as the Maroczy bind. One of the very liberating moves that black has is the move D5. So white is always constantly trying to create ways to make sure that they go against that idea. One of those ways would be, let's say we just make a random move like H6 for no reason. You do have the possibility of playing C4. And then after knight to F6, you do have time to do this here. And this is what is known as a Maroczy bind. And it is just greatly clamping down on this D5 square. So one of the ways that black tries to make that impossible is by going knight to F6 immediately. And it almost forces knight to C3. There really isn't another better move that you can make. So we do see knight to C3, and then we do see the move A6. And we do have the Najdorf. And we have bishop to D3. Now, bishop to D3 is a move. It is actually very low on the list as far as like Sicilian Najdorfs are concerned. What you are normally going to see is you will see bishop E3, and this is known as the English attack. And you're basically just like, hey man, I'm gonna get my pieces out. I'm gonna go queen to D2. I'm gonna castle. So you might see something along the lines of E5, knight going back to B3, bishop to E6, most logical square for that bishop to go to, and then F3. And like I said, you're going to follow the queen to D2, castles long, and you're going to be trying to steamroll black on the king side. Another one of the very popular moves instead of bishop to E3 is actually bishop to G5. And like I said before, there's a gigantic fight in the position for this D5 square. And I mean, you do kind of have an issue as far as, this dark square bishop is concerned. Like, where do you put it? Do you fianchetto or do you go E6 or E5? And you create a slight weakness on D6, and also knight to D5 can come in with this pin. So, there are a lot of ideas at play with these absolute main lines. But going back to what we had, like I said, we did see bishop G3, which is a very logical move. You got G6. F3, queen to B6. So you see we kind of followed like somewhat similar ideas and stuff like that. But we do see queen to B6 by black. And then we see the move A3. And we have reached a position where I would like you to guess the move. What move does Maxime Vachier-Lagrave play in this position? Go ahead and try to figure that out. Okay, so I have two camps that I think people are in. The first camp is, hey man, I'm too great for that. Like, I mean, I understand like the Sicilians and I understand these traps. So I go knight to C6. This is what Maxime Vachier-Lagrave goes in the game. So he does play knight to C6, understanding the threat. If we back up, for those of you who might not be so advanced tactically, who guessed the move queen takes D4 because it looks like white just hung their knight for no reason. Like, why would you do that? You'd actually be a little bit sad. Like, no! Bishop to B5 with check. And your queen, as you guys saw in the thumbnail, your queen is now dead in the water because this check has to be parried to the king. And you are losing your queen next move. So that is a very common discovered attack on the queen. So, you know, maybe there are some of you guys out there that aren't familiar with that tactic. So welcome to this tactic in this particular situation. But going back, we did see, like I said, A3. This is setting the trap. And then we do see knight to C6. Maxime is like, bro, who do you think I am? Like, I'm better than that, son. He is. So we see knight to C6. And then we see bishop to E3. And we come to another guess the move. And I will preface it with this. I just got done telling you guys about the discover. So you guys probably should be calculating, okay, knight takes here, bishop takes, queen takes. Okay, that check is still there. It's just in a different, slightly different form. So, okay, you guys know that can't be the move. But in this position here, what move does Maxime Vachier-Lagrave play? Go ahead and try to figure that out. All right, cool. So, like I said, the queen, you know, knight takes, queen takes, D4, that's all that same trap that I said before. But there is actually another trap in the position. And this is actually going back to why A3 was played in the first place. And that move, the move that I'm actually looking for is the move that he played in the game, which was E5. This was definitely like one of the best moves that you could play in the position. But for those of you who decided that you wanted to go queen takes B2, because, okay, so I didn't put that. Okay, yeah. For those of you that wanted to play queen to B2 because it looked like the pawn was just hanging, like, I mean, I'm good to go because, like, I mean, if rook B1 or something like that, rook A2, I mean, I got queen takes C3 with check, right? Well, unfortunately, you have just lost the queen a different way. This is another common type of trap. After you play the move A3 and the queen takes on B2, you actually have this move knight to A4. And as you guys can probably see, the queen is absolutely trapped. You cannot take here. You cannot go here because of the knight. You cannot take here because of the bishop. You cannot go back here, 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 or here. And you can't take here. Your best absolute bet is either to take here because of the nature of the situation or to take on A1, at least get some bang for your buck. But this is another very, very costly trap that white can play. So be very careful when you're grabbing a B7 or a B2 pawn, because it could be poisoned, homie. But like I said, we did not see that. We saw bishop to E3. We saw the move E5. And then we have like a cute little, you know, moving out of the way situation with knight to F5, which actually hangs the knight. But we are protecting this bishop on E3, hitting the queen. So black has to do something about that. So they go queen to D8, and then we move our knight down to G3. So it's a little trappy when you're kind of coming out of this type of an opening, but, you know, when you get past all of, like, basic, you know, intermediate tactics, you make it pretty good. So we do see bishop to E6. Like I said before, this is one of the best spots for the bishop. We got queen to D2. So you see that a lot of the ideas are very similar. And we kind of have, like, a Najdorf Dragendorf thing, I think they call it. So it's pretty interesting the way they do. Sounds like some Harry Potter stuff, Dragendorf. Bishop G7, we got bishop to H6. We got bishop taking H6 and queen taking H6. White is saying, bad, you're not castling king side, homie. But black is like, that's okay, man. I'm going to go queen to B6. I'm going to go let you go castles. Then I'm going to go long castles. And this is one of those very rare times that you see long castles in a Sicilian, because usually it spells death for you because that opens C file. Rook H goes to E1. We see D5. The thematic D5, like I was telling you guys before, this is like one of the most liberating moves in the Sicilian defense. We got pawn taking d5, knight taking d5, knight taking d5, bishop taking d5. We got bishop to e4. Now, we're kind of hoping for bishop takes, which is a legitimate move. And then knight taking, and then we've just centralized our knight, something like so. And we do have a really, really beautiful knight. But black says, bro, I'm not doing that for you. I'm just going to go ahead and get my own knight central with knight to d4. We do see king going over to b1. Now, I mean, we are taking care that, you know, this pawn is hit a little bit, and we are prepared to go king a1 if need be. We got bishop back to e6. We got bishop to d3. Queen goes to c7. Knight goes down to e2. We have to really kind of try to get rid of this knight that's on e2 or on d4 because it is a really, really greatly placed piece for black. It's basically their best piece. So we got to ask it a question. Knight takes e2, bishop takes e2. We got the move f6. Now, this is pretty crucial because queen to g7 was a move a couple of times, and you are adding a lot of pressure, not only on f6, but also onto this e5 pawn. That is definitely one of the things in black's position that they do want to take some care of. That is why you see f6. And now queen 7 laterally defends, so you can't go g7. We got the move g4. If you're not careful, you know, black might be able to kind of get rolling with an f5, e4 situation and maybe create a passed pawn or make some threats. It's not a gigantic issue, but I mean, you know, it's something that you want to kind of be defensive about. So rook takes d1, rook takes d1. We got rook to d8. Rook takes d8 with check. Queen takes d8. And then we do see the move bishop to d3. And it might kind of seem like, man, I could just win a pawn, right? Like, can I just go queen takes h7? You can, but it's a very, very favorable position for black, and this is the reason why. This bishop is defending a2. So as of now, even though it looks like you have luft for your king, you don't. Because obviously, if you create luft for your king, but it's covered by a bishop or a knight, you really don't have luft. So you cannot go here. So you have to be very careful because queen can penetrate down here if you move the queen off of this diagonal. So if we take a look at what that looks like, queen takes h7, and then you have a really, really serious question that you're asking this bishop as far as what does it want to do? Because you can't go here. You can't go here, obviously. And there is no way for this queen to, you know, protect this bishop in any kind of way. Let's not do that. That is just mating in two on accident. Like I said, there's nowhere for this queen to actually go to protect this bishop. So you really kind of have to go b3. Just to create some space for your king to go. You are going to be dropping the bishop, and then queen is going to be taking g6, and your hope in life is to push this h-pawn to victory because it is going to end up on a dark square, but that's kind of a dream because black is not going to let you do that. But going back to what we had in the game, after queen took d8, we did see bishop to d3, just nullifying all of that. We got queen going to e7, queen down to e3, we got queen to d6, and then we see a repetition of moves. And it is in this position that both players have drawn by threefold. And, you know, what's really amazing me in this tournament is the sheer accuracy of these players. Like, these players are pretty much playing from a 92 to a 99.9%, accuracy. And it's really computer-like. So, I mean, not saying nobody's cheating, of course. But I'm just saying it's just like, it's really crazy how, like, accurate these players are playing in this tournament. And it's making draws like much more possible when one player is not playing like really bad blunders and stuff like that. But I mean, that's these players, man. So I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Merming salamat the king makaibigan. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. Au revoir. Let me see. What is it? Makito tayo mamaya is what I mean. See you guys later.